Still on planning, and when the former state Labor government announced it would convert 50 hectares of land along Walleye Creek in Sydney's southwest into a regional park, the local residents were elated. The area, largely unknown to most Sydney-siders, contains large sections of rainforest which have benefited from many years of volunteer bush regeneration. But not all of the land was handed over, and now the locals are worried that a key section will be permanently destroyed under plans to expand one of Sydney's most gridlocked roads, the M5 East. Sharon O'Neill reports.
In a place that could be miles from nowhere, plans are being made.
There are 17 trees that have been designated as being huggable trees, so they all need to be dressed. And then as many others as we've got time to do, will also, the other big trees around that in the valley to draw attention to them will also be dressed.
No, this is not some strange pagan ritual, but rather a practice run for the Walleye Creek Preservation Society's Hug a Tree Day.
Well, it's really to draw attention to the trees because people tend to just walk through the bush and at the end of it you say, well, you know, what did you see? Oh, well, it's the rocks and gum trees. And it's to draw attention to the trees, make people actually stop and look at them, and also to point out that, the red, I guess, these trees are in danger.
The trees in danger are growing in a rainforest in the Walleye Creek Regional Park, just 30 minutes away from Sydney's CBD.
It's one of those well-kept secrets. It just seems really hard to get across to everyone that, hey, there's a patch of bush right here.
And it's right where the Roads and Maritime Services is planning to begin digging a new tunnel if the M5 East expansion is approved later this year.
It's heartbreaking to know that this fantastic bushland, some of the best bushland along this whole stretch of the valley, this sort of 4.5 kilometres, could just be completely dug up.
The M5 East tunnel was opened in December 2001.
70,000 cars and trucks every day removed from suburban streets.
But it didn't take long before the tunnel, which links the southwestern suburbs of Sydney with the airport, turned into a 4-kilometre car park. The RMS says the entire M5 corridor is now operating at near capacity. That's 95,000 vehicles per day, all day. The Road Authority's solution to the problem is an expansion of the M5 East, which involves building a new tunnel to add an extra 4 lanes. The cost will be $4.5 billion and a couple of hectares of well-loved and highly regarded bushland.
It's taken a lot to protect it. 30 years ago, we were engaged for a decade and a half in a massive struggle to stop the first M5 vision, which was going to be 8 lanes of highway on stilts through all the bushland. We were able to stop that happening. And they went in the tunnel, as we know.
It's just such a lovely area. We've had such good regeneration. You know, there are so many different species have come up there, and it's just really sad if we think that's going to be just all, dug over.
There's a bit of privet there.
For several years, volunteers and bush regenerators have been working to restore this native bushland.
When I retired, I did a course of bush regeneration at TAFE. We had a major project was finding local bushland to study. The diversity of it fascinates me, and I love learning about new plants and making discoveries. Like now with the orchids coming up, it's a revelation, and I enjoy the camaraderie of the other workers. It's great.
You think that's the rock your father would have jumped off?
Yeah, well, it's a natural rock ledge. I've got a long association through my family with this area because my dad was born in the house I live in, and he actually used to swim in the creek just below where we are. So I've lived in that house now for 20 years, and I've been involved in the Preservation Society also for actually probably longer than that.
Deb Little is the president of the Walleye Creek Preservation Society.
We've got rainforest plants, you know, within sort of 60 metres of the tunnel portals. We've got rainforest plants by the creek, probably where my dad used to swim, and they're lily-pillies and they're coachwoods and they're water gums, and it's the sort of plants that you don't see except in areas like Royal National Park. That's probably the nearest place you'd go to find them. You don't see them in other parts of Sydney like that. So there's this real amazing precious element of rainforest.
We've had 6 years of work in this area, supported by about $140,000 worth of money from the New South Wales Environmental Trusts. We've put in some, I think, 1,675 hours of volunteer time. We've hired contractors to work with us, so that's another 1,000 hours that's been paid for by those grants. So there's an awful lot of time over 6 years.
Is all of that work in jeopardy with the expansion of the M5?
I think we would have to say all of it's in jeopardy.
The RMS says some of the land in Walleye Creek may be required for the potential future expansion of the M5 East. In a statement, the Roads Authority said, "No decisions have been made yet to proceed with the M5 East expansion. There would need to be extensive consultation with stakeholders and the community on route options and environmental impacts if the project were to proceed." A final decision on the future expansion is expected in September, when Infrastructure New South Wales reports to the state government on which road project in Sydney will be the priority. It's expected the M5 East expansion will be given the go-ahead.
Yeah, it would be a real shame because a lot of work's gone into maintaining it and keeping the area nice. And yeah, it would be a travesty to lose it.
The residents who have spent so much time restoring this bushland know they have a tough battle ahead. But despite the odds, this community won't be giving up without a fight.
I'm prepared to stand in front of diggers and bulldozers to stop it. It's a wonderful resource for not only the locals but for Sydney as a whole, and green corridor for wildlife. Having done night patrols here for wildlife, looking at the bats, to have this sort of environment taken away from them, let alone me, I just can't imagine it happening. I think it would be a devastation.